All right, so thank you everyone for calling in to our team call tonight. We have, I see a lot of coaches from Choose to Shine in general who called in, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be a slightly different call than I normally do. I focus a lot on business-specific type topics, but this one's going to be a little bit more on mindset, and I'm going to be kind of sharing a little bit of a personal story for a while. This has come up. And I just want to start by saying that I'm coming to you with this content and these ideas from as a student, as someone who's still learning this, not as a teacher or not as someone who has this all figured out. So this is like a bunch of friends having a chat about something that I hope will help all of us. So I just wanted to start by saying that. Not all of you know me who are on the call, but I have been coaching since last January, and it's been an amazing journey. It's had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and this coaching business kind of comes and goes in seasons. It's like there are some months that you're just rocking and feeling on top of the world, and there are months where you're like, oh shiz, what am I doing? I feel like I'm falling flat on my face. And you know, since the summer began, I feel like I've been in a series of tripping over falling on my face. And so that's sort of what I wanted to share with all of you, because don't worry about that. It's totally fine. Totally fine. I broke something, but that's okay. I don't know if I can get lighter. I got a little dark, didn't I?
That was very symbolic.
I know, guys, some weird shit has been happening in my life like that, and like it's just I don't even know what's going on. But all right, anyway, so with that, we'll talk about some of these falling flat on my face. So I have felt off balance. My son, time to sage, I know. I have been, since the beginning of the summer, Cole came home from school, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to not let that change a thing. You know, I'm still going to be able to be a perfect coach, a perfect mom, a perfect leader. You know, I'm just going to, it's been a double standard because I hold myself to this really high standard when for everybody else I say, just be you. Like, perfection isn't real. It's not like you can't be perfect and all of this stuff. And that's what I truly believe. But for whatever reason, my whole life, I haven't been telling myself the same story, that I need to be perfect. And I think that sometimes life throws you curveballs so that you can come back to your core and figure out who you really are. And that you don't have as much control as you might think, and that you need to reprioritize and kind of sit back and reevaluate. So, you know, in the past month, you know, I kind of have hit this place on this journey where I've become really overwhelmed. I am currently at Success Club 0 for the month. I have had 3 returns in the past month and a half. I actually reconnected with a challenger that I had lost track of her so much that she's literally about to have a baby in 3 weeks. And I didn't know I had forgotten she was pregnant. And here I was being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to reconnect with her. It's going to be great. And then I was like, I am the worst person in the universe because she is someone who's under my husband's account. So I lost track of her. And I felt like, you know, I don't know if there's kids around, but I felt like a shithead. I felt awful, like a horrible person that, you know, my business has grown. It's gotten to this, you know, I have this amazing tribe in front of me that I love with all my heart. And I think if there's any truth out there, you all know how much I care about this opportunity and about all of you specifically and wanting you all to be successful, that sometimes things fall under the cracks without them, you know, meaning to. So anyway, I hit this place with all of this stuff going on. And this weekend I listened to this podcast that totally blew my mind. It spoke to me, and this is why I felt inspired to share with all of you. If you were to ask somebody like, hey, how would you, like, what are some words you'd use to describe me? You know, they would probably start sharing things about how you were caring, how you were a good person, how you helped them in certain situations. But if we ask the same question of ourselves, what are a couple words to describe like myself? You'd probably say, well, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a coach. You would describe, you know, you wouldn't really be talking about the core of you. You would be talking about kind of the roles that you play in your life. And I do this to the max. Does anyone else do that? Like when you're just, what the first things you think about with yourself, do you think about these roles that you play? Not that you play, they're real roles, but they're things that we're growing into and that are constantly evolving. And, you know, that's how we are defining ourselves. So what happens if we do that is that as we grow and evolve into these different roles and shit hits the fan and something goes wrong, which is what's been going on with me this summer, you start feeling like you lose sight of who you really are. And you start thinking like, you know, I'll have a bad day with the kids, or I'll feel like I'm neglecting them because I'm working too much on my business and I'm starting to say, I'm a bad mom. I will lose track of a challenger. And like I said, I reconnected with her and I'm like, I'm a bad coach. No, I'm not a bad coach. No, I'm not a bad mom. Logically, you know that. But when you define yourself like from your roles, that's what you do. You put yourself through these maddening phases of overwhelm and fear, and you're not coming from your core. So essentially what this podcast was kind of forcing me to do is to create some I am statements to get back to who you are. And I love that she described it as a merry-go-round in a way. She said, you're at the center of the merry-go-round. Who you are is at the center of the merry-go-round. And then picture like all the horses and stuff around it. Like those are all the roles that you play in your life. So you're sitting at the center, right? And if things get slightly off balance in one of your roles, as long as you're onto your core and you know who you are, then you can say, oh, well, that's okay because I am still strong. I am still a good person. I am still, you know, inspiring people. You have that connection with your core truth. So when things feel off balance, you can reconnect with that and move forward and say, okay, on to the next. Let's keep going. Like, let's keep moving through life and not getting stuck on this little imbalance that's going on in my life. Let's keep, you know, trudging forward and figuring this out and keep going forward. So, you know, I started thinking about these I am statements. Did anyone like write any down? I had mentioned maybe coming to the call with like 5 I am statements. It's okay if you didn't. Yeah. Oh, yay. I'm glad that Meg did. And actually on the call, she said to make 100. So 5 was like letting y'all off easily. And yes, I said y'all, Lisa. She said to make 100, and I'm planning on doing that. I only have like probably like 20 now. But we have to remember that our roles are not our identity. Our identity is actually these things that are our core like things. And it's going to be hard. I'm going to read some to you guys, and this is not easy. Think about this, right? When you're listening to this podcast, she's like, more. I want you to say more I am statements, more I am statements. And I'm even getting uncomfortable because I'm like, oh, shoot, I don't want to say things out loud about, like, I can't say these kind of things out loud about myself. How do I say out loud, I am strong? How would I feel? Like, we don't do that. But do any of you remember that viral video that went off about that little girl that was in the bathroom and she was screaming in front of the mirror going, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am confident, I love, yes. Like, I love my whole house. That's the one, Meg. And I am tired, I am hungry. So Carrie said I'm tired. So, you know, her, and we're like, we all were inspired. We're like, dang, like good for her for saying all those things. And she's this little kid. And we talk about signs, that thing crashing down in my house. That the day after I listened to that podcast, I came home and I'm playing with Cole, and he's making some sort of art because he loves to like create stuff. He's such like a maker and a creator. He looks at me and he goes, Mommy, did you know I am an artist? I was born an artist. You just didn't know it because I couldn't tell you yet. And like he said that, and it really spoke to me because here I am. I just listened to this I Am Statement podcast, feeling all uncomfortable about saying things like, you know, I am a learner. I see the best in people. I'm, you know, empathetic. I think big. I'm a trier of things. Like saying these things out loud, I know that they're truths. They're my core truth, but I don't say that out loud. I don't say it to people. I don't own who I am or the good in me. We end up focusing all this negative crap that really isn't even our truth. It's just distractions in our life, like that don't serve us and don't do us any good. So why is it easy for us to focus on all that garbage and all that shit, and so hard for us to focus on our good and our gifts and come from that place of truth when we are interacting with people and sharing with people and focusing on what's next for us, focusing on our future in that way, coming from that place of truth. So my son just inspired, he's like, it's okay for him to do it. When do we lose that? I don't want him to lose it. I want him and my other son and my daughter to see me saying good things about myself every damn day so that they will feel okay saying good things about themselves too. And they do have it right, Meg, but we have to they lose it at some point. They lose it because a lot of us have lost it. So how do we keep that going, that momentum going? And it starts with us. Sometimes you just need to talk to a kid to understand life again. It is so true, Stephanie. So true. So, all right, that was the I am an artist story. I'm just kind of running down my notes. I know I ramble, you guys. I'm trying to keep it at that point tonight. Yeah, giving yourself credit for who you are. And, okay, so the other thing that was brought up in this podcast, which I loved too, because you know what I'm really, really like bad at is managing my time. So I'm thinking to myself, while she's talking through this, like this girl that she was interviewing was also saying that she was bad at certain things. She's like, well, you're not bad. You actually, if you recognize something, then that's like the important part. Hold on, I wrote down exactly. So for negative ones, make a list and flop it to the good, because if you see the bad, then the good is within you, or else you wouldn't recognize it, which is so true. And she's like, if you see that someone's funny and you're like, oh, I'm not funny. Well, you laughed, so obviously you understand what funny is. It's part of your core. You're just telling yourself you're not funny. So you can flip it to the good, and that's a whole separate list, and those can become your affirmations, you know? So like for me, I'm gonna start telling myself out loud, I am awesome at managing time. I am so good at managing time, you know? And not only are you kind of reconnecting with like your core things that you are damn good at, but you're not owning it and telling yourself you're that, but also on the flip end of these affirmations where you think that they're bad, you think they're your weaknesses, but don't look at them as weaknesses. Write them down, flip it to the good, and then say it out loud as affirmations. And something that I'm going to be working on too. I think the why video totally plays in. You are already doing this. In what way, Lori, do you mean?
I'm muted. Because I feel like you guys are already like starting to like tap into that, like why you do what you do. Like it's not just because like I'm a coach. You're like I do it because it makes me feel good, because I'm inspiring people, because I love life, whatever it is, like it's all tied in. And I think that was like sort of like the catalyst, like you're already doing it. You just have to recognize it.
You just have to recognize it. Exactly. And I think that's also why I love this business so much, is because like none of us are even like trying to be perfect. We're trying to learn about ourselves more. We're trying to figure that out. So I just want to say to anyone who's not, hasn't hit Success Club for the month, or is feeling like they're not attracting enough business builders into their business, or that they're feeling overwhelmed and like they can't get everything done. They can't check all the things off of our millions of lists. All of those things have no bearing on who you are as a person. They don't. You might be thinking of all of that stuff as that is so. Do you want to talk about that at all, Elizabeth, or okay if you don't? Does anybody want to talk about that? Because obviously that's like a trigger point right now. Is what I'm saying, like, is it helpful to you to get through like that feeling? Stephanie, I feel like a kid in your classroom who just asked a question and it's cricket. Although the little ones would totally answer and they would start yelling at once, right? Except for Cole, he would raise his hand.
Cole would raise his hand, yeah.
But no, like, And it's not, I know a lot of times in this business we say, no excuses, like keep going. And yes, we need to keep going. We need to come from a place of heart. And I mean, well, this is, first of all, it's your first month of coaching, Lauren, and you're at Emerald as of Thursday, which hasn't been announced yet. And you're at Success Club too. So, so there. But no, but that, just to that point though, like there are always positive things that you are doing as well, you know, and we all have things that come up in our lives. We are all overwhelmed. Some of us just hide it a little bit better, and it's not a good thing. I hide my overwhelm really flipping well, and I'm learning it's a personality trait in me. Well, Carrie shakes her head, maybe because you know me well, but also Carrie, you're someone that I share a lot with, and like I'm learning that. Again, I told you about, some people are on the call. I'm learning about different energy profiling, energy types. And something I do is I'm very, it's very few people that I share everything with. I am open and honest, but I want all of the attention, my attention to be on other people. Like, I just want to help them. No, I'm good, guys. I'm good. And, you know, they say your biggest strength is your biggest weakness. But I do share everything with some people, and, you know, a couple of you are on the call tonight, and I'm so appreciative for that. But I also realize that I need to be more vulnerable, because some of you might be sitting there thinking that maybe I have it all together and I don't. And so it's okay for you not to have it all together. Like, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We are going to have these amazing months where things click, and we're going to have these months that nothing clicks. But what I would challenge you to think about is, in that month, in those months where things don't click, and maybe it's not clicking for a reason, what can you learn about yourself in those months? What could you maybe, you know, could your mindset be in a different place, in a more positive place? You only need to go see Bad Moms and Movies, sort of the theme. I'm reading Elizabeth, hold on. Sort of the theme. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, another chat. I'm looking.
We were eating dinner, okay?
That's amazing.
Hold on. They both like came on and they're just like, sorry.
That's amazing. Yeah, so I think the other block, so here's the other thing I was thinking about when it relates to your Beachbody business. I have felt blocked about posts. And I think it's because I've been thinking, well, you know what? I forget, I didn't even know one of my challenges was pregnant. Who would want me to be their coach? I have like 2 hours a day to do my coaching business. Why wouldn't someone want someone else to be their leader who has more time? Why should I post? I've had three returns in the past month. Why am I spending all this time and energy when no one's going to sign on with me? I'm serious. These are real thoughts that come through my head, and I want you all to know that, because it's okay. Because next month, tomorrow even, like, this is like amazing for me. This is like, maybe this call was just for me, guys. I mean, I hope you get something out of it, but really, maybe I just need to have a sharing session. But truly, like, just unblock yourself. Just kind of like let all of the crap go so you can move forward. Because I think that's why I haven't been able to put out really a lot of quality posts, because I felt blocked. I've been blocking myself. But if I was coming from a place of truth and reminding myself of who I am as a person, and not how I feel like I'm failing in all of the different roles that I'm playing, then I think I would have been more successful this month. I think I would have put out more value to the people around me. You know, it's something in the air, but I think it's something everyone struggles with. Like if we're all struggling with this, think of all the struggles that all the people we're talking to are struggling with. At least we're working on ourselves. Like at least we're talking about this stuff. How many people do you think on a Tuesday night are talking about this kind of stuff? Talking about stuff that's trying to like get through, to cut through some of the garbage that life throws at us and that we throw at ourselves to better ourselves, to help to fill our own tanks and then to serve other people better. Not a lot of people, just a bunch of Beachbody coaches, you know? And how cool is that? You know, how cool is it that we have this opportunity to be able to talk through some of the stuff that comes in our life? Because this is where it all starts, in my opinion. This is how we continue to grow as a person and become better for the world, you know? So yeah, just kind of, I don't know. I always like to throw questions back at people. Like, does anyone have any kind of feedback on this? Like, am I out in like space, the celestial strange energy world, or is this relating to anybody?
All right, I'm gonna jump in because I listened to the podcast while I was frantically cleaning my house today. And I don't think it was all like, it wasn't all woo woo out there. It wasn't like, there wasn't even like a ton of like energy healing, like content. It was like, she was like connecting more with like the spiritual God and, you know, like, you know, church aspect of it, as well as being children of God and things like that. So just to dispel anybody's fears around that. But I think it's really like, it was very, very like spot on about like how we give ourselves roles and those roles become who we are. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned since I started coaching is that I'm not just a mom and a wife and a daughter and a sister, but I like I'm like very empathetic. I'm very caring. I want to help people. And, you know, there's a lot of things that I'm not good at, but like it really brought me full circle where I was like, this is why I love what I'm doing right now. It's because I get to be something other than just a mom or a coach or, you know, a wife. Like, I feel like I'm like helping people generally. So it was very like, yeah, it was good. Listen to it.
Thank you. And I loved hearing you say that stuff out loud. And so the podcast is the Energy Healing Podcast by Tara Williams. And it's episode number 21 or 22. But it's with Angie. It's like with Angie. She's a businesswoman. She's a mom and a businesswoman. No, but, you know, Carrie, I know it's a really hard question, especially one for us to answer ourselves. But, you know, I could list off at least 20 things, at least 20 I ams about you right now. You know,
well,
like try for like 3 right now.
free spirit.
Yep. What did you say? Oh, yeah.
Determined and loyal. I don't know. I wanted to share something else.
What?
I just the speaking on who we are and realizing that we are so much more than Beachbody coaches, I think has been incredibly like eye-opening, like for whatever reason this summer. And I kind of like said to Mark last night, I go, I feel like I have finally figured out who I am. And I said, this is the scariest thing to realize at the age of 33. As I look back, that like when I was in my 20s, I was confused trying to figure out who I was. When I was in high school, I was trying to figure out who I fit in with and what my voice was and being like quiet and shy and not feeling like I fit in. And then you go through this all of a sudden becoming a wife and you're like, well, what does that mean? And then you become a mom and you're like, can I do this? what is this like? How am I going to do this every single day? Like, this is hard. And then I became a nurse. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm a nurse now. And I really feel like the growth that happens with personal development and working on yourself and realizing that like you can constantly like grow as a person is what this business does. And I said this just last night. I go, I figured out who I am and I'm still figuring it out. So I just think it sounds kind of funny, but look at what can happen when you turn 33.
But I think, you know what, Carrie, like, and I've known you for quite a while now, and like the core things that you even listed, how you're determined, a goofball. What else did you say? There's a couple, you did a bunch, but all of those things I guarantee you still were in high school. I bet you were those things in your 20s. You might not have unleashed it as much because of worrying about the roles you were playing and the role where you fit in and all these other things on the outside. But I bet those core things were still there. And that's what blows my mind. Because when I look at my list, I'm like, I've always been these things. So that is your constant. If you can connect with your constant cores, like it's boom, like that's it. That's everything, because no matter what happens in your life, you can get through it and you're going to keep going, and you just keep being consistent, keep moving forward, because you at the heart of it aren't going to change. All right. What time is it? 8:29, baby. All right. Does anyone else have anything to say? It's kind of a like short-ish call, but I'd love to hear from other people.
April said when
Unless someone else.
I am.
So I actually could go back to the core values. The whole podcast, like kind of like you just sort of summed it up, is that I can't remember her name, but she was basically saying like, no matter what you get in life, no matter what you're striving for in life, if you're not connecting to those core values, then you're always going to be looking for something more. Like you're never going to be, and it doesn't have to do with satisfaction, but you're never going to get to where you want to be. So you're always going to be, if you're not connecting to like being goofy or, helpful or a light in the world, like if you're not connecting to those core values or whatever your core values are, then you could try to strive to get to like the bigger house or the faster car or more money. But if those don't tie into like what those core values are, then you're not going to ever be satisfied or happy. So.
Yes. Thank you for that reminder. Because Tara, if you listen to the whole podcast, she, one episode talks about how she ended up with everything she ever wanted, her dream house with all the money in the world and overlooking this cliff in California. And she still felt like something was missing. Like what's next, that what's next feeling. And that's when she got really into a depression, anxiety, and she ended up in the hospital with a panic attack because she was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I ever feel satisfied? And that's when she started delving into like energy healing and figuring out all of this stuff. So thank you for that reminder. And that's why they talk about a why that makes you cry and, all that kind of stuff.
I think this is important. Oh, sorry. Was somebody else going to talk?
No, sorry, I just lost you guys. I'm back. Okay.
It'll be quick. I think this is important for us as Beachbody coaches too, because I think when I first started doing this, I got a little frustrated with how certain top coaches kind of over glamorize things and do make it about the cars and the jewelry and the trip. And I struggled because I wasn't connecting to that. And like, I like nice things and everything, but for myself, I realized that's not the core of what makes me happy. Like the post that I put out today is the core of what makes me happy. Walking with my family and looking like a scrub, and it just feeling like I'm having a stress-free day. Amongst all of the everyday chaos, it's still feeling stress-free. And like, I I struggled because I thought that you had to show this glam life, and I wasn't going to connect.
That is your glam life. That is your glam life. You know, like that post was perfect because that's it for you. That's what it is. You know, it was beautiful. It was amazing. It was coming from your place of truth, you know? And if anyone doesn't know what that is for them, like that's again, keep diving in. Like I'm still figuring it out for myself. I'm not in that clarity place that Carrie showed in that post. Like I'll be honest with all of you. I love the work that I do with all of you. And that's what I know right now. I love helping all of you in any way I possibly can to build your businesses. And that, I don't know if that sounds weird, but I just feel like my purpose is to empower women. And that sounds so broad and general and nothing to do with me, but it makes me feel good. That's who I am though. I honestly feel like I'm meant to give light to people. Like I don't want to get emotional, but like
We love you, Mama, so much. This happened to me last week. It's when we love something so fiercely that we just leak badassery, right? We just start leaking a whole shit ton of badassery. And warm fuzzies. We just have so many that we overflow. That's what this is.
It kills me more than anything in the world because I see so much beauty and light in every single fucking person. And when they don't tap into it and when they don't find their own truth, it kills me. And I just want everyone to find, like, that post that Carrie did today. Stephanie's post was incredible today, merging her two passions together. Cindy had that amazing post last week about, you know, her past with diet pills and all these things and being unhealthy to try and be skinny. And now she's found this healthy balance for her family and her kids. And like, and that's what I love. I just want everyone to find their own thing. Like, anyway, maybe that's not about me. It's about other people, but I think it is that's just me. I don't know.
It shines through in all that you do and all that you share with your team. And all of these people are here on this call with you tonight because I think you've really showed them the way to that, Linz, you know?
No, they showed themselves the way. Like, I just feel honored that we have what we have in our tribe. Like, you know, a lot of people say that about how many people show up on these calls, and like, I'm just so grateful.
I need to say something. So without going into my history too much, I haven't talked to my mom in over 2 years, and I have a daughter now. And I remember when, Lindsay, you first had your twins, and I sat and I held Claire, and I said, I can never have a daughter. I don't talk to my mom. How can I have a daughter? And you cried, and you said that she's one of the best things in your life. And I got pregnant with a daughter, and I remember talking to you throughout the pregnancy, and I signed up with you 7 months pregnant. And here I am. My daughter's 6 months old, and I've been going to therapy now for as long as I can remember. But for the first time 2 weeks ago, this is like a big milestone, I only have to go to therapy once a month. I'm doing so well. And honestly, I would credit you with a lot of that. And I think you should know that. The end.
I can't even talk right now, but I mean, you did all that work, Lauren. Like, you sharing with people, that's what it's about. And what scares me is that so many people keep it locked inside. They don't share. You know, if you hadn't shared that fear with me about your past and about all of that, then I couldn't have helped. I couldn't have done anything because you wouldn't have told me. And how many people out there just keep all these surface objections that we get, you guys, that's what it is, surface objections. The fear runs so deep inside of people The fear of failure, the fear of how they're going to look, how they're going to be, all these things are going to come up. Sometimes they're even afraid of actual change. If I change, what does that mean for me? No, I'm going to stay here in my safe place. I'm going to stay with what I know until something really bad happens or something really life-changing happens. And they're like, oh shit, what do I do now? Like, you did all that work, Lauren. Like, I appreciate that. Like, I was there for you, and that like we connected, and it's the relationship, it's the connections that make real change, that create real change and the real positivity. So anyway, let's just keep sharing, keep helping people, like keep spreading this light, like wildfire, should be like Team Wildfire. Somebody's got to use that name. That's a good one. Thank you for sharing that, Lauren. I really don't even have words. Do you see how uncomfortable I am? Because I'm like, all right.
That's where the good stuff happens, baby.
That's where the wine happens too. I told the team, I'm like, I'm going to have wine on this call.
There's always time for wine. Yeah, babe. Steph's got some too. I didn't miss the memo. I'm just out of wine. I drank all my wine this weekend. That's what happened.
All right. Does anyone have anything else before we sign out? I think Cody wanted to do an I am. Did I hear that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that a bunch of people on the call before we sign off, I feel like should say a couple I ams. I think it's always good to think it and write it down, but it's better to just say it, put it out there, bring it out there.
Affirm it.
Well, sure. And that's the last thing on the podcast you'll hear. She literally says to wake up in the morning, look in a mirror, and not just say it, but like yell it. I am this, I am that.
Do you think I could roar my affirmation?
I hope, yes. I mean, that has to be a requirement for you. My husband would die if I did that. I was thinking that too. I'm like, this would be awkward. But then again, I thought about my kids. And like, how powerful would that be for your kids to see you yelling like these amazing things about yourself? And I was like, shoot.
Well, think about, that little girl on that YouTube video, which to talk about that, it's like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of like I remember seeing somebody post that, a coach, actually recently, and it brought me back to college, because when I was in college, I had a friend who was a dance major, and she was doing a modern dance, she was doing choreography, and she asked me to play the part of the little girl.
Yeah.
So I wore my hair all like frizzy curly, and I put on my PJs, and I was dancing around stage affirming all these crazy things. And sort of to go back to what we were saying at the beginning of the call, you talk to any kid and you're like back in touch with reality. I think that society and just like the fast pacedness of things and the expectations we impose upon ourselves and just the junk that penetrates us as adults, dulls our inner child, which is why I loved being a kindergarten teacher so much, right? Because I had 22 people reminding me every single day that is your inner child. I was so in touch with my inner child when I was teaching, and it's so important. I know there are other teachers here on the call, and I'm sure that they can, totally relate to that there's something so special and powerful. They have it right. But, one thing I was going to say was when I was in Chalene Johnson's Courageous Confidence Club, she too, wanted us to write down a list of I ams. And if Chalene Johnson says it, not that this lady isn't, a credible source, cannot wait to download this podcast. But Chalene always has it right too, which I'm sure most of us know. And I probably should have written it out, but I typed it all up, all my I ams, and I put it on my mirror. And I just remember probably for a good 6 months, I would wake up in the morning and the first thing I'd do is I'd read off my I ams. And it sounds silly maybe at first to be like, okay, this is kind of redundant, but you'd be amazed at how ingrained it becomes in your mind and in your heart, and how you really start to believe these things. We do a lot of negative self-talk, every single one of us, and what we focus on expands. So it's super important, especially to start your day with the things that are going to lift you up and, raise your vibration. So 100 is a lot, but I'm up for the challenge. I think all of us love a good challenge. So I'm excited to come up with 100 I ams. I was struggling at number 4 tonight. I was like, what else am I? So this might take a while, but I think it's a really great exercise.
And I love too, Meg, you can start adding, because this is something I like, because I'm kind of obsessed with words. I'm a total nerd when it comes to words. But you can start like adding ones that you love to like your list, and you can start saying them and growing into them. And I love that phrase, like growing into it, because I think that's such like a powerful thing, that you can grow into something, because it's the truth. It's already in there, but you need to grow into it to really believe it. So I found this word, and I'll share with you all this word that I'm like obsessed with now. It's mellifluous, and it means having a smooth, rich flow like honey. And I was like, yes, I need to grow into that.
I love you.
Because I love flow. I try to like have, and it's a negative that I'm trying to put into a positive, because the truth is I'm a fucking scatterbrain. So I want to be mellifluous.
I love that.
I am mellifluous.
You are.
How do you spell it? I'll show you. I wrote it down.
Can I hear that in a sentence, please?
Does anyone else want to share? I mean, Cody, you need to fucking say some I ams. I'm swearing a lot tonight. Sorry, guys. Like, it's your idea.
I am sensitive. I'm loving, fiery, strong, and passionate.
He is all of those things. That's affirmative.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Fiery. 2 fiery people under the same roof. Watch out. We're lethal.
I love it.
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous. Okay.
Clap it out.
I have to clap it out.
There you go.
That's how I teach my kids to do it. Break it into chunks.
All right. Does anyone else have any I ams? Can we have like one more person saying an I am? That would make me so happy.
I'll do mine if you want.
Yeah.
I'm a roller coaster.
You're a roller coaster? Is that what you said?
Roller coaster.
I love that.
Just ups and downs and all arounds, flips and everything. I think that could cover like 100, right?
You know what though, Lauren? Like, I feel like I would flip that to say I am resilient.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Because when you have, it's a word, because Greg and I played a game last night, because again, poor guy, he goes through so much. I'm like, what would you describe me as? And do this though with someone who loves you and cares about you. Like, what would they say about you? And I loved it, because he told me like about me, his first 2 were passionate and spunky. And I wouldn't have ever called myself spunky. Like, it was like, it's just like cool. And I did it for him, and he's like, really? And I used resilient with him. He's like, oh, I wouldn't have thought that. Why? And I told him, like, well, you've been through some roller coasters, you've been through some stuff, you've had freaking cancer, and it didn't like, you just came right back from it, and like, he's resilient. And I guess that's the whole point, is I think it is a good exercise to do with someone who knows you best, because sometimes we don't think of the things that we are, even though they're our truth. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Meg, you haven't said yours.
Yeah, she typed hers. Let's hear from some people. Why is it crickets, guys? If I said it, you can say it.
I put I am enough. That's something that it took me a really long time to believe that. So that's one that's like always been my mantra. I'm also, like you, Linz, very hard on myself. I'm a perfectionist, and I need to just, sometimes let up on myself. I made a ceramic thing once, and it's in my little book nook, my personal development area, and it says, let whatever you do today be enough. And enough is in capital letters, because sometimes we just need to remind ourselves that like we're doing the damn best that we can, and it needs to be enough some days. I think sometimes in a business like this business can, breed comparison, and we're looking at what everybody else is doing and all the other numbers that people are, bringing in every month, and whose team is bigger than whose, and whose results are better than whose. And just, you have to look inward. And I think that in this business, it's very, very true. that you need to remind yourself every day that you are enough and that what you're doing is enough, and not to look outwards so much.
I love that. I love that as a positive flip for perfectionism. Like, I love it. That's everything, because I've needed a flip for that. So I'm the same way. So I'm going to add that to my list to grow into.
Good. You can borrow it.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have any?
I think we're getting some people to type theirs out.
Let's see.
I am capable. Oh, I love these, Holly. Those are good.
I love courageous.
Mm-hmm. I'm just reading through. I'm valuable. I'm able. I love it, because I know, Holly, not to call you out, but I know that, you know, you've had a lot of self-doubts about things, and we all play that comparison game and whatnot. And I feel like that's been a big transformation for you this year, is realizing all of your assets and all the value that you have to give to others. So I think these all kind of orbit that kind of thing.
Yeah, so most of you know my team name used to be Team I Am. So I've kind of thought about this a lot before, and I kind of looked back at the list that I made when I first started, and it's funny, like, going back to this and looking at it, because I haven't really thought about any of these in a long time. And some of them I had were like, I am confident, I am unstoppable, I am courageous, I am wise, I am fearless, I am successful, I am ambitious, I am brave, I am motivated, I am loved, I am strong, I am determined, I am powerful, I am able, and I am valued. Those are the ones that I started with, you know, and I feel like you forget if you don't remind yourself. So I love that, like, going back and looking at that, and I'm going to practice that.
Did it feel kind of good to get to say them out loud?
Yeah, it was kind of neat. I didn't want to I didn't want to scream them, because little man is awake. So he will not go to bed. But yeah, it's like, it's neat to kind of read them and like think like, oh, that's what I thought of myself, and feeling that come full circle where I'm actually like, I can read those now and feel that way again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Can we all just agree that we're all going to take videos of ourselves standing on our bathroom vanities screaming our I ams?
I'm in.
Like that little girl in our PJs. I'm talking like the whole thing, like the whole 9 yards.
I like that one, Seth. I like the I am alive. That's good. Because I think we totally take that for granted. We think of all of the crap storms that like get thrown at us, and we forget that we're living and breathing, and that in itself is enough. So the I am alive kind of goes into the I am enough. Those are good. I am down. Who wrote that one? Did you want to talk about that one, or we could always talk offline too? See, I would flip that and figure out, you know, I mean, it depends on what you mean by the down. I think, oh, I was saying I am down. Oh, here I am like, oh my God, can I talk? Do you see? My energy was just like, oh my gosh, it's just me and you right now. Let's talk through this.
Let me help you.
Let me help you.
I am here for you.
That's so funny. That's awesome. Yay. All right. We all need to do that. Team challenge. We're going to do this.
Oh my gosh. Wait, can we put it together?
Make another video too.
that.
That'd be so easy.
Holly Lynch. Dude, we are on the same level right now. I literally was just going to say, Holly Lynch can help us put it together, because
horizontal. Take it horizontal.
Horizontal.
Yeah, take it horizontal. Everybody hold your camera sideways, and like almost all the videos came in of it.
Yes.
This is sideways.
So I'll post about it, and we'll post about it and choose to shine. I think that would be like ridiculously powerful.
So
Wants to know when the next Halloween dance will be. Yes, we'll be doing that.
Oh, we are so behind on our dancing.
I know.
Don't you worry.
We'll get there. All right, guys. Well, this has been, I mean, definitely one of my favorite calls. It was really helpful to me. I hope it was helpful for you too. I know it went a little deeper than a lot of our calls, but I think that's what we do. We be deep people, so. All right, well, I love you all. We deep peeps. I love you all, and I'll share the recording in the team page. So if anyone on your team wasn't able to make it and you think it would be helpful to them, then you can have them watch the recording. All right, guys, I love you all. Go scream in the mirror some awesome things, and I'll chat soon. Love you. You're welcome. You're welcome.